The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online.
Welcome back to the broadcast. This is the Equally Yoked Show. We've got some breaking news concerning Ilhan Omar. And no, it's not that she got fired from Congress. It's actually that she got attacked. Now, we are going to be looking at that clip here in a moment. So if you're just joining in the podcast, welcome back to the broadcast. We are talking about some of the latest headlines and everything that is going on in, of course, Minnesota and in really globally, the global stage that is being set up for this new world order. We're looking at so many people, news outlets, leaders, global leaders. Of course, during these World Economic Forum talks, there's always the conversation of the new world order. Joe Biden said this. We had George Bush Sr. say this. We had so many different politicians say this concerning the new world order, that they are going to establish this world order. And what we're looking at is a conspiracy by Satan. Now, it sounds simple just to say and label this as, oh, this is all Satan. This is all demonic. This is all, well, guess what? It is as simple as saying that, but we, of course, will need to get to those details later in the broadcast. Let's look at this video during a town hall meeting of Ilhan Omar being assaulted. Now, of course, we've talked about Ilhan Omar. We've been very critical about her. And she's been very critical of the Trump administration. She's been very critical of Charlie Kirk and many others. We don't want to see anybody harmed, obviously. We've never advocated for that. And we're not ones to say, well, she had it coming, just like she said about Charlie Kirk. Now, a lot of news outlets are calling this an attack. What we see here is, we're going to watch the clip, is that she was sprayed by some type of liquid in a syringe. Very, very weird. And so you have a good question there, you two punky say, violent left or right? I don't know. The details of this person is not known at this moment. And of course, I think if it were somebody, I don't know, if this was a different case scenario, I think the details of the person involved would have, I don't know. I'm not sure. This person, it hasn't been named as of yet. So let's play this clip here.
ICE cannot be reformed. It cannot be rehabilitated.
And by the way, we're going to look at not several clips of this, but you're going to see several clips. We're looking at some of the comments made by the representatives and AOC, of course. We're looking at what they're saying concerning this. And then we'll just share our thoughts on what we think about this issue. Okay, you can actually see the guy sitting down right there in the black with a hoodie. And this is as it comes on the heels of her calling for the impeachment of the DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem.
Abolish ICE for good. And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked.
No, we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, I don't know what That's what.
Look, I'm smiling and I'm laughing because a lot of what people are saying online is that this is a false flag. This is a setup. This is fake. I mean, I don't know. It seems, I really don't know. I mean, this is a very strange reaction of any person in Congress, anybody. Typically what happens is you have the bodyguards go to her defense or go to any of their defenses. That doesn't even make sense. Goes to their defense in the sense that they begin to crowd and cover. I mean, I don't know if they have the same level of security as, because she's a congresswoman. I really don't know how it works with them. And so you see a guy obviously goes to tackle the person who sprayed her. And the strangest part of this reaction is where she goes and lunges at the guy. Like, what is Ilhan Omar going to do? I mean, she's not to bag on her height here, but she could probably get taken down by this guy pretty easily. So I don't know. It's a very strange reaction. I don't know what to make of this. Like, she stares at him for a second. Then she starts to go. You see her bodyguard or whoever that is goes to tackle him down. Like as if she's going to punch him in the face. And then she continues to say, we're going to continue this on instead of going to get checked out as to what she was sprayed with. So she finishes up this town hall meeting and then goes later. Wouldn't you be concerned that there was some type of disease, some type of something? What's up with my camera, by the way? It looks like my camera is, I don't even know. I'm not sure. One second, guys. All right, it looks like my camera's out. One sec. I'm going to try to get this back online. So hang tight. I'm going to play the rest of this clip, about 2 minutes long, and hopefully I can get it back up in that time. Sorry about that, guys.
I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing. No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked.
No, we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, I don't know what. No. whatever it is smells so bad. She needs to go get checked. I don't know
That's
what that
that's
was.
what they want. Please don't let them know.
It's not about him, Ilhan. Ilhan, it's not about him. It's about your safety. No, he's
So she's got some people who are saying, "Hey, Ilhan, like you need to go get checked out. This is serious. You need to go see what the heck in the world is even going on. Like what was sprayed on you? Go get checked out. It's not even about, you know." So what do you guys make of this? Again, a lot of you saying it's all staged. I really don't know what to make of this. So let's look at the following posts concerning this matter. And here's her response to this attack, whether it was staged or not. But just to say the least, this was a very strange reaction immediately after she got sprayed with whatever it was. I mean, you can see the syringe. You can see the fact that he he wasn't really, I don't know, maybe some type of intimidation tactic. Didn't spray her in the face. Didn't even go for her. Didn't go for any vital, eyes or anything like that. When I saw the initial headline, it looked like maybe pepper spray, but nothing of the sort. And she then goes to continue on with this town hall meeting. Is it staged? I don't know. So this is Ilhan's comments concerning this.
Representative Omar, are you okay?
I'm gonna go figure if I am, but I feel okay. I feel that it is important for people, whether they are in elected office or not, to allow these people to intimidate us, to make us not fight for our constituents and for the country we love. And as I said, I've survived war, and I'm definitely going to survive intimidation and whatever these people think they can throw at me, because I'm built that way.
Thank you.
It's just weird. But somebody says that she's the most threatened woman in all of Congress. I guess. I think there are more people who are being threatened, especially by the Democrats. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that statement. But here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying it's not a coincidence that that after days of President Trump and VP Vance putting Representative Omar in their crosshairs with slanderous public attacks, she's getting assaulted at her own town hall. Thank God she's okay. If they want leaders to take down the temp, they need to look at the mirror. But there's no insight as to who did this. Nobody cares. A lot of people just don't care. And so here's the image of whatever that is. A baby syringe. No needle. Yeah, people online are just calling this absolutely fake. What do we make of this, guys? Was this fake?
I don't know.
Oh my God, he's crazy.
You got this security guard. 5 hours later, are you all right? I don't know. Maybe it was holy water. Maybe she needs some of that Holy Ghost. Paid actor. I don't know. Totally fake. Let's just put up a poll. I don't know. Let's let the audience decide and figure out what you guys think this is. Was it an attack? Was this just some type of intimidation tactic? So I'm going to put up this poll here. And just for the heck of it, fake news. See what you guys think. Let me know in the poll. We get the final numbers later on in the broadcast. Guys, if you're just joining in this podcast, this is the Eagle Yoke Show. We're going over some of the information concerning Ilhan Omar's supposed attack here and during a town hall event in Minneapolis. And so the crowd says he sprayed her with something. Here's Representative Nancy May saying, I am deeply disturbed to learn that Representative Ilhan Omar was attacked at a town hall today. Regardless of how vehemently I disagree with her rhetoric, and I do, no elected officials should face physical attacks. This is not who we are. Now, I'm curious to know if J.D. Vance or Donald Trump will say anything concerning this. But she's saying the rhetoric, AOC is saying the rhetoric that President Trump and J.D. Vance have been putting on Ilhan Omar, the rhetoric comes because of the money that she has acquired. Another fraud. Money that she has acquired through by means of her husband's and some false businesses, a winery that is not even a legit business, no phone number, no location, all these weird documents that we were looking at yesterday's broadcast. If you want to check that out, you can check that out on our podcast. Subscribe to the podcast, Equally Yoked Show. And we're going over this as we analyze this for what it is. I mean, honestly, this doesn't look anything more than what it is some type of intimidation. But I'd like to know who this person is that is sitting in the crowd there. This is, I mean, honestly, this is a situation where we don't find conservatives or Republicans to be doing this. And if this is, then, well, I really don't know. I'm curious to know how the media is going to spin this once they release this person's information. And if this person is claiming to be a Trump supporter, I think the internet will take to storm pretty quickly to see if this is actually true and legitimate. So I really don't know. But this is just terrible. Terrible to see if the amount of coverage, I mean, I'm really at a loss for words here. I really don't think it's that much of a crazy deal here. A lot of people don't like Ilhan Omar. A lot of people are really putting her under the microscope because she, under her leadership, or being that she's a representative of Congress. And YouTube Punk, no, this doesn't break my heart. I just don't know what to make of this as of yet. So I'll let more information come out to see where we can then place our final thoughts concerning this matter. I really want to know who this person is. So far, he hasn't been identified. And it would be interesting if this was somebody on the left, if this was somebody, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of this, but this is Minnesota being exposed for the billionaire who is under investigation for funding far-left network. Now, what's being revealed about Alex Preddy is interesting, that he was a part of the Signal group chat, and Cam Higbee is revealing more of this information and how he can he has strong confidence that he is, and we're going to look at that clip in a moment, that he was a part of this group, this professional ICE agitating group. And we're going to look at that in a moment, but check this out.
There is a far left network that is escalating its activities against the federal government. And in this network are self-described socialist, Marxist,
Welcome, Darlene.
Leninists,
Thanks for being here.
terms that we might not have thought we would hear today, but they are indeed on the streets. They have guides on how to track, monitor, and harass these federal agents. They have got guides on how to avoid detection and how to basically keep this strike against the U.S. in the, quote, belly of the beast to destroy the empire, as they call the United States.
Now, this person that they're looking into, this is the chairman, Smith exposes U.S. nonprofit as likely CCP-funded propaganda arm operating under tax-exempt status. Now, what she was beginning to go on about is with what it says here, and this is from September the 4th last year, saying Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith is demanding records from the People's Forum, a New York-based 501c3 organization, in a letter today following mounting evidence that shows that this organization has acted as a foreign agent of the Chinese Communist Party and has received millions of dollars in funding from a known CCP ally, Neville Roy Singham. While enjoying the benefits of U.S. tax-exempt status, the letter comes amid an ongoing comprehensive investigation by the Ways and Means Committee to ensure the U.S. tax-exempt sector is not abusing the lucrative federal benefits they currently enjoy or undermining U.S. national interests. So it says the Chairman Smith's letter details how the People's Forum has justified Hamas's October 7th terrorist attacks, incited protests and riots across the U.S., admitted to receiving over $20 million in funding from Neville, and hosted events and courses pushing CCP propaganda. Now, this is interesting because there's also reports about the CCP growing in America, this sort of this underground operation that is happening where they're importing, or rather, they're having these Chinese-born citizens, American citizens, they get flown to Chinese Communist Party, China, to learn and indoctrinate them to hate America. And what they will do is, once they become of age, they'll be able to vote 2026, 2028 as they get to that age. And so the reports are, and we'll look at this at another broadcast, but the reports are about over 1 million. I think 1 million is the number that will be possibly voting in these next elections, which could play a huge role with ties to the Democrat Party. So we're going to look at that in a moment, but let's continue this video here for a moment longer, talking about Alex Preddy and his involvement in ICE operation, sort of ICE doxing operations. We're going to look at that continuing on here.
So who funds this network?
So what's really important to know is that right after the killing, there was an escalation of their activity where they put protesters out on the streets. Who were these groups? They were people like the People's Forum, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and they put their word out through a propaganda network called Breakthrough News. It's all those organizations are funded by an American-born billionaire living in Shanghai named Neville Roy Singham. He's already under investigation by congressional leaders for alleged intervention and interference in the U.S. domestic politics. It's really serious business that's happening right now.
What this network is doing is surely not legal. Some of the protests and the measures they're taking against ICE, I can't believe they're legal. Has there been any arrest of any members of this network?
Well, what's really important is that Kash Patel has announced that he is going to be investigating this network that has been communicating via Signal. Signal is where they sent many of their first responders, their rapid responders, as they call themselves, to the donut shop before the killing happened Saturday morning. There was a Signal chat that ICE agents were at that donut shop and that people needed to descend on the donut shop. And that's when this tragic killing happened. So the authorities are clearly looking at this network. And, you know, military and intelligence officials are describing it as an insurgency. So it's a very serious effort that these agitators are now putting forward.
Now, what we're looking at, and I knew this would happen as we began to see what followed after Renee Good and after Alex Preddy, that the information that would come out behind their sort of background and what we're beginning to see since their deaths, where people are calling them martyrs, people are calling them and comparing them to Charlie Kirk. But what's also interesting is that we're having the background of Alex being really put on the front of his image. Now, he's a nurse from the U.S. Veterans, what is it, ICU something? Let's get his background really quick so we can get that accurate, because we know that the nurses have been on strike for a number of days as of recent. This has been ongoing, of course, because of the amount of hours that they've been working. Now, I looked a little bit into this, and also upon visiting the, let's see here, ICU nurse. So he's an ICU nurse for the veterans, veteran community. Let's see here. Yeah. So, so what's interesting is that was he, apparently on this strike, and instead of actually, staying away from these protests and actually fighting for nurses and their wages and to not be understaffed, instead he's found at a rally, a riot, or ICE, capture of who they were seeking. We went over that on the broadcast also as to what they were attempting to do when that instance happened with Alex Preddy dying. And many people were calling this a moment of public execution by ICE, and which is false, because ICE is not conducting public executions. What they are doing is they are conducting ICE raids to remove illegal criminals who've not only broken the law by coming into the country under the Biden administration, but also the folks who have ongoing or active or investigations into them regarding what are good terms to use here. What is the CSAM or CSPAM? I think it is. I think it's CSAM. And amongst other issues that what we saw when President Donald Trump went on the press briefing, where he basically pulled up and showed all the images of the people who they are protecting in Minnesota. And this is a bit outrageous when we have people who are defending criminals. They're defending the lawless. They're defending the lawlessness that is happening in Minnesota, and they're also impeding law enforcement. All these things of which we know is not rooted in common sense. It is rooted in evil. It is rooted in a demonic inspiration. And so when we're beginning to look more at everything that is happening there, surely we're going to see a lot more coming to California. But here's Donald Trump on this matter concerning Alex Preddy. And this is somewhat what the news won't really, broadcast for you as to what Trump is saying concerning this.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident.
We've talked about this even with Renee Good. The fact that somebody died, the loss of life is never great. When it comes to God saying that the wicked, he does not desire to perish, but that all should come to everlasting life. We've read that scripture numerous of times here on this podcast. But when it comes to his statement following, or even prior to that, when he talks about him carrying a weapon, yes, of course, you have your Second Amendment right, especially the fact that they made sure to mention that he was a legal carrier of said weapon. We've also looked at a video concerning this firearm also malfunctioning, where somebody tested this 5 months prior to Alex dying, where this could have been a misfire, therefore leading the ICE officers to shoot. We just don't know. We don't know what this is, and people are calling for an investigation into this. Now, whether they will do that, we don't know. But people are also calling for the resignation, such as Ilhan Omar did before she was sprayed with whatever substance she was sprayed with, calling for the impeachment of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Do you guys think that she will be impeached? There's a possibility she might. But we also saw that the Border Patrol chief, Bovino, has been removed from his post. And now Homan, what's his first name? Tom Homan? I think it's Tom Homan, right? Gosh, my mind is drawing a blank today. Tom Homan, who's now being sent to Minnesota to speak to Jacob Fry and possibly Governor Walz concerning how to get these issues in order. Now, let's continue on here, and then we'll play another clip from the poster child of the Democratic Party.
Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
What do you think of some Republicans saying?
So, when it comes to deportations and ICE, what a lot of people don't, or seem to forget, rather, they seem to forget that their deporter-in-chief was conducting these very same operations under his administration. And the videos that continue to come out on X, that continue to come out, even following his letter concerning Donald Trump and the way he's conducting these operations, he almost throws a little bit of shade there, saying something to the effect of, under my administration. We'll have to pull it up just so he can get his words correct, but I believe there's some shade in there when he's talking about this issue and what is happening in Minnesota. So we're going to play this clip here and then let this sink in while I find Barack Obama's post concerning this.
There are those in the immigrants' rights community who have argued passionately that we should simply provide those who are illegally with legal status, or at least ignore the laws on the books and put an end to deportation until we have better laws.
And you're right, by the way, Starburst or Starbust. If they would have just complied, they would be fine. Yes, but these are agitators who are being paid to do this. Paid or not, they believe that they're fighting for a cause that is greater than themselves. When they become the martyrs, the left just throws them away in the trash. It's only for the benefit of them being elected and put into power again. That's really all that this is for. There's no benefit that is going to come out of these two people dying, only to slander the right, only to slander conservatives and Trump if it benefits them for their party. But they're going to ignore all the background of Alex Preddy. They're going to prop him up. They're going to prop Renee Good. They're going to say that she was a mother of 3. They're going to say that she was, a wonderful person, when clearly she was impeding law enforcement. They're going to talk about Alex Preddy being an American citizen who was helping people, saving people's lives. They're going to prop up all these different aspects of Alex Preddy, but they're not going to talk about the background as to why he was there in the first place. Trying to be the hero. But he instead lost his life. Now, what Trump was saying in the last video that we just played is he's saying that he shouldn't have had a gun. It's not a comment on the, with respect to the Second Amendment right. Because yes, you have the right to carry a weapon. However, dealing with the tensions concerning deportations, this might be seen as a threat. It's very possible. And for the person asking if I'm getting paid or I must be getting paid. You surely know what I'm getting paid. Or you surely know that I am getting paid. There's no payment here other than anybody who wants to super chat and wants to support this podcast to grow to what it should be, in the sense that greater than whatever I can build it to be, by the help of folks who love to listen to what we are sharing here on the show. Subscribe to the podcast. It's also one of the best ways that you can support this show is by subscribing. We're almost at 4,000. So grateful to the folks that continue to come back here. So grateful for the moderators that continue to moderate the chat and keep things easy, as there are a lot of threats, of course. But again, when it comes to the fact that he had a weapon, the issue is not with the weapon. The issue is that he was at an area where law enforcement is trying to conduct operations, and there are, as always, the agitators who are impeding law enforcement. They're already on edge. Already on edge. So let's continue on with Barack Obama. Let's not forget that he was the deporter in chief. That was the title that he was given.
And often this argument is framed in moral terms. Why should we punish people who are just trying to earn a living? I recognize the sense of compassion that drives this argument. But I believe such an indiscriminate approach would be both unwise and unfair. It would suggest to those thinking about coming here illegally that there will be no repercussions for such a decision. And this could lead to a surge.
Well, there goes my camera again. We're going to play the rest of Obama on this clip. But when it comes to somebody saying, look, Alex is helping people, documenting what was happening in his own town, even his father, the conversation that he had with his father prior to this protest, because they had to help identify the man that they have seen online. Oh, the camera's back online. I just somehow did it by itself. Great. So here's the issue. With the statements that his father said, look, he was telling his son, don't do anything dumb. And Alex says that he knows that he knows that he shouldn't be doing anything dumb. And instead, what he did is what he cost his own life. He cost himself his own life by going to these riots and saying that, look, he was being brainwashed into the idea that ICE is kidnapping 5 and 2-year-olds, brainwashed into the idea that Americans are being captured by ICE. Where are they going to go? They can easily go, as if they are apprehended, if they are detained and sent to an ICE facility, where are they going to send them? They're an American citizen. They can look easily into their background. Even then, the numbers are low concerning how many they have detained by, I don't know if you want to say unlawfully or by accident, after they're trying to search a very specific, person, because you have to think that despite what ICE is doing, they're targeting very specific people. They're not just going after everybody, like how the media will tell you, like Ilhan Omar, like AOC, like many others that will say ICE is targeting American citizens. They've taken the focus off of the Somalian fraud in Minnesota. They've taken their focus off of the Epstein files. They've taken their focus off of all of this. Now, what the Democrats are covering, they're going to cover this because they're using their opportunity, as they did with Epstein, to try to defame Trump, try to bring his image per se down in order to bring his poll numbers down in order for them to have the favorability in 2026 and 2028. And so when it comes to President Barack Obama's response, he says this: the killing of Alex Preddy is a heartbreaking tragedy. It should also be a wake-up call to every American, regardless of party. Too many of our core values as a nation are increasingly under assault. Federal law enforcement and immigration agents have a tough job, but Americans expect them to carry out their duties in a lawful, accountable way and to work with, rather than against, state and local officials, and to ensure public safety. But what we saw out of Minnesota is Mayor Jacob Fry and Tim Walz and many others saying ICE needs to get out of our state. We played the clip that the Trump administration put together on their account of all of these different interviews that they've done online that speak of this very rhetoric. But what did we see under Barack Obama? We didn't see any of these riots. We didn't see any of these killings that were broadcast. Social media was barely taking off at this point. I think this was, Vine days where people were focused too much on social media, not really focused on politics or anything like that until we really saw the change come in 2020. That's when I think there was a huge shift into political attention as to what our leaders are doing, as to this crazy world that we live in. So he continues on here, and I believe there was a little bit of shade there where he's talking about that they should, as he says, Americans expect them to carry out their duties in a lawful, accountable way, yet the Democrats are not communicating this point at all. The ones that have the microphone, the ones that have the cameras. And then he says, and to work with rather than against, but they're not working with. And you see, as Trump had mentioned, and even others that are talking about anywhere where the law enforcement is cooperating with ICE, there's no issues like this. No issues happening where you're seeing these agitators flooding into Minnesota, which is very strange. And he goes on here, which we don't really have to cover, but the New York Post talking about Ilhan Omar being sprayed with unknown substance. Let's continue on with this post for a moment. Says by syringe by ranting audience member at chaotic town hall. And so as Representative Ilhan was accosted and sprayed with an unknown substance Tuesday by a man who rushed the stage with a syringe at a chaotic town hall event in Minnesota. Omar was at the podium criticizing Department of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and calling for abolishing ICE. Then Anthony Kazmarashak, I think, shouting inaudible remarks, allegedly charged her from the row closest to her lectern and sprayed liquid in the direction of her chest. The syringe appeared to contain an amber-colored liquid. So who is this? So it says abolishing ICE with amber. So Anthony Kazmarashak, I think that's how you pronounce. I don't even know how you pronounce that. A Russian last name. Interesting. Who is this guy? The Congresswoman ran after Anthony and appeared to be readying to punch him before he was tackled and removed from the North Minneapolis venue. I need a napkin, Omar was heard asking a staffer on the hot mic. Aides urge her to seek medical attention, but the 43-year-old squad rep refused. No, we will continue. I'm fine, Omar said. A person near Omar noted that whatever the substance sprayed was, it smelled so bad. Interesting. Omar continued with the remarks a few minutes later. We are Minnesota strong, and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us, she said, as her assailant was still being removed from the room. Anthony, 55, who shared photos supporting President Trump on Facebook, was arrested in Minneapolis. So we have a Trump supporter. Let's see how the media decides to spin this one. It says, arrested by Minneapolis Police Department officers and booked into Hennepin County Jail for third-degree assault, according to Minnesota Police Public Information Office Trevor Folk. Representative Omar was uninjured and resumed speaking at the event, Folk noted. Minneapolis forensic scientists responded to the venue, the Urban League Twin Cities building, to process the scene, according to police. I'm okay, Omar wrote on X about an hour after the incident. I'm a survivor so the small agitator isn't going to intimidate me from doing my work, she continued. I don't let bullies win. Grateful to my incredible constituents who rallied behind me. Minnesota strong. Minneapolis Council member Latricia Vita, one of the presenters at the town hall who got some of the spray on her jacket, told the Post that there were metal detectors to get into the venue and police were outside before the event started. There was no metal on the syringe. As you can see, this is like a I don't know, medicine syringe or something. So I'm not sure what that comment's all about. Let's continue on here. And it says it was mayhem when it happened, but her getting back up there and speaking calmed the room down. Vidal said, I looked over at her hands and she was shaking so bad. I got sick to my stomach. Vidal said of the foul odor, I went outside and threw up because like the smell was so strong. It smelled like vinegar or ammonia. Political leaders from both sides of the aisle condemned the assault. I am deeply, this is Nancy Mace. We covered her topic saying that she does not condone this basically. Mayor Jacob Fry called the incident unacceptable. And so we're going to, let's see, Trump, who had previously called for Omar to be jailed jailed or deported to her birth country of Somalia, revealed the federal and congressional inquiries after dispatching border czar Tom Homan to ease tensions in Minnesota related to Saturday's fatal shooting of ICU nurse Alex Preddy by federal immigration officer. So, all right, guys, we're going to look into that a little bit more as to who this guy is. It's interesting that we now have a name. Glad we have a name. We can look into this Trump supporter because they're saying that he posted his support on Facebook. We'll look more into that and see what comes out of this mess. And so, wow, an overwhelming, well, actually not even an overwhelming, well, I guess you have 11% more saying fake news. So you would call that 62% of basically people saying that this was fake or fake news. Sort of combining those two. I mean, we'll keep them in their own respective categories. So far, 440 votes, quite incredible to see how the media is reacting to this, how social media rather is reacting to this. And, well, I guess we'll find out what begins to happen in the next coming days as the left and some news outlets report on this matter. And so we're looking at Cam Higbee, who uploaded this to his own YouTube channel talking about this Signal chat. Let's take a look at this video for just a moment.
Yeah, there has been a lot, and I think you gave a pretty good synopsis. I've been pretty clear with my audience. I've been on the leaking massive amounts of information side, less than the identifying people in the chat side. I don't have the strongest confidence ever that Peggy Flanagan was in it, but I do have very strong confidence that Alex Preddy was in it because he was identified as being in it by several members of the network as well as his neighbor. Not only that, he was engaging in the exact tactics that they teach you to engage in inside these Signal chats. Same thing with Renee Nicole Good. She was also engaging in the exact same topics or tactics. And here's the other issue is that so all of these incidents, these shootings, the clashes with DHS or federal law enforcement officers in general are not happening at the federal building.
And by the way, you say, I don't condone what he did, but she was trying to ramp things up when Trump was trying to calm things down. Now, somebody else says that Trump is the master of calming things down. I believe that is a rhetorical response because of your other comments. But otherwise, the things that has been said on J.D. Vance's part and Trump's part is that they really need to tone down their rhetoric. Because again, when we looked at these clips, it's so hard to just say these comments and people just ignore the facts of what we've been seeing on this broadcast. And of course, what is being shown on social media is the rhetoric continues to get louder and louder and louder. And the Democrats have proven that they will not shut up about this. They won't shut up, meaning that they won't stop with rioting ICE, taking the riots to these ICE officers to impede law enforcement, to continue on these, social media posts looking to dox ICE agents. The rhetoric from the left only proves that it's going to empower and embolden their base the people who want to see the Trump administration fall, as if it's some type of regime, as if it's some type of empire, taking the words of Obama, saying that he is not a part of this. He's not the emperor of the United States of America, but he is the elected president. So is Donald Trump. He is the elected president. And of course, let me remind you, Americans voted him in to office, despite the convictions that were completely erroneous. And we're looking also at the heels of the congressional hearings of Jack Smith. So let's continue on here.
So much anymore. They're happening at intersections. How do you know that federal law enforcement are at these intersections? You're in the signal chats. I've patrolled the streets of southern Minneapolis, which is where both of these shootings happened, looking for interactions with federal agents. You can't find them unless you're in these signal chats. Once I joined the signal chats, I was able to track them like that. They call out the intersection, I go to the intersection. There's a federal agent, and here's a bunch of protesters surrounding that person. I was in the signal chat for several days before I felt an overwhelming obligation to make the public aware of what was happening. Like you said, there were a lot of other reporters inside the chats, and I just wonder why there wasn't a feeling of obligation from mainstream reporters to leak this.
Somebody says the governor is playing, Mike, you say the governor is playing nice with Trump, hoping he gets a pardon for his part in all that corruption he's involved in, along with his AG. Now, look, this is also, weird. It's weird that you see, but it's something that should be happening. But you see the Democrat leader, Tim Walz, who was, adamantly against Trump and his policies and against ICE, and completely sharing the rhetoric and rather spreading the rhetoric concerning everything that is happening when it comes to Renee Good, when it comes to Alex, and whatever else happens from here on out. And then you get this Truth Social post of Trump saying that he's working with Tim Walz because Tim Walz had called him, and they're looking to square things off by really toning down what is happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So let's pull up that post for you just so we can get an idea as to what is happening as we looked at this on the last broadcast. So it says here, Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota, more specifically. So he goes on to say, it was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that we are looking for any, and we are looking for our, well, wait, hold on. We are looking for any, I think there's a bit of a typo there, and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor, so this is what was happening. They were putting these criminals in jails and then releasing them into the interior of Minnesota. And so this is what they're attempting to do, is to get these criminals so they don't have to go and find them on the streets, because that's what they're doing, is they're going and hiding. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. Interesting flip there. We also had what we've been seeing with John Fetterman, who is flipping his script a little bit on calling for the impeachment of Secretary Noem. Now, we don't have those clips for you pulled up, but otherwise, this is something that he's communicating as of late. And so when we begin to look at the world stage and everything that is happening, there is as I've been saying time and time again, not only, of course, we've looked at the spiritual war aspect of this, but we were also looking at the Karl Marx playbook. And again, this is something that many people aren't speaking on concerning this matter. That this is sort of the insurrection done by the proletariat against the bourgeoisie, in a sense, right? Because this is what the letters of Karl Marx and what he was trying to explain on how you can fully fulfill democracy. That's where you see this word here, to take down essentially the republic. We went over that on a broadcast, and I think it was very insightful. I think you should check that out. However, we're going to end the podcast here. If you guys are just hanging in on the last bit of this show, please consider subscribing to support that show, to support the show in that manner. And otherwise, continue to like, comment, and share the video with your friends and your family as we begin to grow this conversation more about what is happening in America and the sort of affordability crisis that we're living in, and how we can continue to wait for the economy to catch up once we get all these issues sorted out when it comes to immigration, when it comes to, affordability, housing crisis that we're looking at, and the big, beautiful bill implementing these great policies that was passed last year. So, all right, guys, we're going to be ending it here. If you guys want to continue on in the chat, feel free to do so. We will most certainly allow you to continue your debates, your personal side debates that have been going on since the show began. And I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you. This is the Equally Yoked Show. Peace.
state of Iowa, with so many proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. It's an amazing state. What a place. Boy, do we have some victories here. Were they the greatest? So exactly 2 years ago this month, it was the people of Iowa who put us on a rocket ship back to the White House. It was a rocket. That was a quick one. After a rigged election, we had a rigged election. I said, do we do it again? And I said, I think we better do it again. Not too many people who would have said that. But we did so well the second time, I said, well, we won twice, we got to do it a third time. Should we do it a fourth time? Four victories. 4 victories. We got the right team over there. There's the right team over there. Well, geez, that would be easy for you. That wouldn't even be work. But you came out by the thousands on a cold and snowy winter evening. Remember that beautiful evening? And together we won the Iowa caucuses in a 30-point landslide. That was great. I'll never forget it. It was so freezing. You think it's cold now? That blew it away. Whatever happened to global warming? You know? Now it's, it's like one of those things. But it was the coldest night. I remember it was way below zero. And they say, sir, you don't have to come till 10 or 11 o'clock because a caucus takes longer. Then I got a call at, let's say the polls close at 7. Sir, you've won. I said, I won what? They told me 10 o'clock. They can't announce. They said, you won by so much. They just called it at 1 minute after 7. So, right? So we made the journey. And we made that journey through all the cars and everything else, and we made a speech, but what an evening that was. Then in November, we won the state by a massive landslide. That was incredible in the election. And we then went on to win all swing states, all 7 of them. They said 7 swing. Well, he could win 4 of them. He's doing very well, but we won 7. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many decades by millions and millions of votes. And we won a category that's very important. We won 86% of all counties in America, 2,700 to 525. How about that? Other than that, we didn't do too well. So now we're back where it all started to celebrate the greatest first year of any administration in American history. They say that. Even the radical left is saying, holy man, we did a lot of things. 12 months ago, Joe Biden handed us a mess. We inherited the legacy of record high inflation, the highest inflation in the history of our country. They say the fake news, ooh, that's a lot of fake news. No, the fake news said it's 48 years. I remember recently I said the highest inflation, the worst, I believe this, by the way, worst in the history of our country. They said it wasn't the worst. It was 48 years. I said, that's okay, too. Somehow that sounds even worse than when you say the history, right? 48 years. I accepted that, but I think it was in the history. A mass invasion of our border and our country was being laughed at all over the world. We were being laughed at. We were a joke. We're not a joke anymore. We're not a joke. We're not being laughed at anymore. But today, just after 1 year of President Trump, our economy is booming, incomes are rising, investment is soaring, inflation has been defeated. Our border is closed, totally closed. And America is respected all over the world like they've never been respected. 1 year, I thought it would take us 2 years. I guess I'm following in the great path of John Deere. We got the chairman of John Deere here. Chairman and CEO, that's pretty good. I even signed a John Deere hat for him. He said, I'm going to put this in the museum. I said, that's good. No, it's a great company. And you just said you're opening up 2 massive plants because of tariffs. You're opening up one in North Carolina, one someplace else. And you're expanding all over the place. You're doing a great job. I bought a lot of John Deere stuff. I bought a lot of John Deere. It's a great company. It's an honor to have you. Thank you very much. This has been the most dramatic one-year turnaround of any country in history in terms of the speed. I really thought it would take us 2 or 3 years to do what we're doing. You know, we're the number one country anywhere in history in the world, anywhere in history for investment coming into the country. And it's amazing. And it's because of tariffs. And it's also because of the fact that we had such a tremendous November 5th. That November 5th brought spirit back to our country, came back. You know, one thing I think which is so important is, if you remember, a year and a half ago, we couldn't get people to enlist in the military, any of them. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, any of them. The Coast Guard, Space Force. I love Space Force, right? We couldn't get them, and even police departments, they couldn't get anybody with a uniform that represented the country. We couldn't get them. And today, we have the single greatest recruitment numbers in the history of our military. The police forces are loaded. Law enforcement is loaded up. And everybody wants to be a policeman, a fireman. They want to be in the military, any branch. I mean, we literally, they couldn't get them. A year and a half ago, nobody wanted to be in the military. Now everybody wants to be in the military. It's an amazing thing that's happened, an amazing turnaround. And all because we have a president who does something very simple, puts America first, right? Right? Thank you. So under my leadership, economic growth is exploding to numbers unheard of. They've never had them before in recent times, and now, and we're just getting started. You know, the great, big, beautiful bill, which is no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our seniors. Do we have any seniors in here? Do we have any seniors in here? One of the fake news said, he did that because he doesn't want to pay tax on his Social Security. Don't you believe? That's what I never thought of. These are sick people. But despite the fact that we've just really started, it's just kicking in because we inherited such a horrible situation with all of the high prices and the inflation and everything else. And by the way, the open borders, we had millions and everything you see today wouldn't happen. They opened the borders, but we had a 5.4%. And since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time highs, adding $9 trillion in value to your savings, retirement account, and 401ks. So 401k people, I mean, of which you got a lot of people. Does anybody have a 401k in the audience? A lot of people. So you're setting records, right? The highest it's ever been. They say this, you know, the good stock market, they say, well, this stock market, you know, they just try so hard. This stock market doesn't affect the middle class. I say it does. What about a 401k? What about all the other things? What about the fact that they're making more salary than they've ever made? But the stock market's the highest. How is John Deere stock doing? Great? All-time high? It's all-time. Everyone, I don't have to even ask the question. I mean, I made a lot of people rich. Me, I just keep working. I made a lot of people rich. I made a lot of people rich that I don't even like. I got a lot of people that I don't like at all, and I've doubled their net worth. But after 4 years in which Biden got less than $1 trillion in new investment, think of it, he took in substantially less in 4 years than $1 trillion. We secured commitments for a record-breaking plus $18 trillion. So in 1 year, we did over $18 trillion, and he did less than $1 trillion. Just over 1 year ago, under Sleepy Joe Biden and the radical left lunatics, we were a dead country. We were a dead country. I'll tell you, 1 year ago, a little more than 1 year ago, we were a dead country. The king of Saudi Arabia told me that. You've heard me say it. He said it better than anybody else. He said, you know, I can't believe it. A few months ago, he said, a year ago, you were a dead country. Now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. He said, I can't believe it. And today I'm pleased to announce one more historic investment. The great American company that we just talked about is doing so much. I have to give it really. I buy so much equipment from so many of the people in the, you know, we have a lot of very successful companies in here, but I know it's a very special deal because John Deere is doing $70 million in factory in North Carolina. It's brand new, the best in the world. And I think it's going to pay off very, very big. And if it doesn't, I have nothing to do with it. But if it does, I'm going to take full credit. But what it is an excavator factory, as I understand it, and it's going to be the only excavator factory. In other words, excavators. We all know I love those excavators. Believe it or not, I know a lot about them. We don't make them here. This is going to be the only excavator entirely made in the United States of America. So that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. It's great. And they'll all come. I hate to tell you, but they're all going to be coming too. You're going to have some competition, but you'll be ahead of them. If congressional Democrats had their way this year, would right now be facing the largest tax hike. So they wanted to give you, this is what I was running against, the largest tax hike in the history of our country. I wanted to give you the largest tax cut in the history of our country. And if they won, this country would be cratering right now. It would be cratering. So I've cut a record number of job-killing regulations. The reason our job numbers are so good, and remember this, I've cut hundreds of thousands of federal jobs. Now, if I didn't do that, our numbers would be even more through the roof. Or I could get them. You know what they do? In order to have decent numbers, they hire 1 million people. You hire 1 million people, all of a sudden you're down to 3.5%. We don't do that. We get rid of that job where you have 10 jobs for every, you have 10 people for every job. And they are all now, and they hated me. They hated me. Now they love me. You know why? They all got jobs in the private sector making twice as much money as they made from the federal government, sometimes much more than that. So a year ago, they hated me, and now they love me. But it includes dozens of burdensome regulations that were crushing our amazing farmers. We love our farmers. We won this thing. I think I'm at 97% with farmers. Well, who the hell is voting for Kamala? You know, it was a crazy election because we were doing great against Biden. Our hope, nobody even knew who the hell Kamala was. All I knew is she was the border czar. We had millions of people pouring through, and she was the border czar. So I like that. But I will tell you, the amazing, we didn't know much about her. And you know, when you're running a campaign, you're focused on the person you're running against. So we're running against Sleepy Joe Biden. Crooked, I call him Crooked Joe, Sleepy Joe. They're both accurate. And we're running against him. All of a sudden, he's way down in the polls, down by a lot. And all of a sudden, they take him out and they put a new, this is like, I told Dana White the other night, it's like taking a fighter, putting him in, he's getting the hell beat out of him, you take him out, and you put a new fighter in. I said, that's not fair, but that's what happened to me. The stuff that happened to me can only happen to me. But I repealed the Biden's EPA ridiculous water restrictions to keep federal bureaucrats off your land and out of your business. That was a big one. That was a big one. I terminated the so-called diesel exhaust fluid requirement. You know what that is? Saving family farmers more than $1 billion a year. And we're going to do a lot more. We're going to do something on tractors. You know, they never took we did it with cars. We took all that nonsense off the cars. You couldn't start your car. You'd have to go to MIT to get somebody to fix your car with all the crap they had on it in order to save a quarter of a glass of this much little tiny bit of gas. These people are crazy. And I'm going to do that, I think, for tractors, too, because we're going to get the tractors back where you don't have to be a PhD in order to start your tractor, in order to keep the environment clean. So much nonsense. I think it makes the environment dirty, actually. And very importantly, on day one, I kept my promise to the people of Iowa and abolished the insane electric vehicle mandate, which would have obligated you to go out and buy an electric car, but it would have obliterated a thing called ethanol. Do you like ethanol? Is it big? A lot of people are asking me about ethanol. I don't know. Do you want me to do something with ethanol? Maybe. After years of the United States getting ripped off by other countries on trade, I'm standing up for the workers and the farmers of our country like no other president has ever. No other president's done this. I mean, no other president has done this. I could have had an ACC presidency. I'd probably have this little piece of ear back, you know? Could have it, and I wouldn't have to listen to lunatics like this up there. I wouldn't have to listen. Isn't that nice? Thank you. Boy, they're good here. Do we love our law enforcement? They work very quickly. But under Sleepy Joe, we had the largest trade deficit in world history. But in 1 year, I've slashed our gaping trade deficit by a staggering 77%. How about that? What about that? That's pretty good, right? 77. Nobody's ever seen that. You know, if you slash your trade deficit by 1%, you're like a genius. They say, oh, he's very electable. He's not so electable. I did 77. I did something else, favored nations on drugs. We now are paying the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. In other words, we're matching favored nations. It's called most favored nations. Every other president tried for it. They didn't try very hard. They didn't get anything. I got it done. I got all the nations to agree. You think that was easy? I said, if you don't agree, we're going to put tariffs on you. They said, we agree. We agree. So you'll have a pill that costs $10, as an example, costs $10 in London, costs $130 in Des Moines, and now it's going to cost $20. Think of it. You'll go from $130 down to $20. It's the biggest price reduction of prescription drugs in history. And going to have a huge impact on your health care, too. I was very proud of it. And you know, the fake news, I can't get them to talk about it. Think of it. I got the biggest price reduction in history on drugs, pharmaceuticals. I can't get these guys to talk about it. It was page like 22 in the New York Times, a little story. I just got the biggest, I can't believe it. If a Democrat got a half a point down, this is like hundreds of, depending on the way you want to calculate it, you could say it's an 80% reduction, or you could say it's 1,000% reduction. You could say whatever you want, but it's the biggest reduction in history by many, many times. I did something because we were subsidizing the entire world. We were paying 10 times, in many cases, more money than the rest of the world. And I said it wasn't fair, and I got it done. And everyone said you can. They said, you'll never get other countries to agree. They said, yeah. I said, yes, I will. They said, you'll never get the other countries to agree. I got the drug companies. That was not easy, I want to tell you, but that was not so bad. But they even told me, we'll agree to it, but you'll never get the other countries. I said, 100% I will. Why wouldn't I get them? And I called Macron of France. I said, you got to double the price of your drugs. He said, no, 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 I will not do that. What was the story with his glasses the other day? What the hell was that all about? But anyway, but I got them all. I don't want to go into a long story. Bottom line, I said, I'm going to increase tariffs by 25. I'm going to charge you 25% tariff if you don't do it. They said, we will do it. We would be, why don't you ask? We'd love to do it. So I got something done that no other president could have gotten done, and no other president, I don't even think they tried, you want to know the truth. You think Biden was thinking about it? He just was thinking about how the hell to get off the stage. Remember, the guy could never find that you have so many ways. You can jump off the front if it really gets, you got stairs all over the place. The guy could never find his way off the stage. This was not a good sign. But I made new fair trade deals with countries covering half of all U.S. trade. You do know they're paid agitators, right? They're paid. They get paid. You know, do you ever see their signs? You know, we used to have protests and you'd have guys making a sign in a basement. These are all paid agitators. That's all they are. They get paid to go and they don't even know what, when they interview them, why are you here? I don't know. They have no idea. They're paid insurrectionists, really, in some cases. They're sickos. But I've made new fair trade deals with countries covering half of all U.S. trade, scoring giant wins for the farmers, ranchers, and agricultural producers like no other president has ever done. That's why I got such a tremendous vote from the farmers, and I love you too. I do love you too. So Japan will now allow the United States to supply up to 100% of automotive ethanol, and import large amounts of aviation biofuels from the United States. That's great for you. That was part of the deal that we made. The United Kingdom will import nearly $1 billion of ethanol. That's part of their deal. Australia is allowing American beef into its market for the first time in more than 20 years. Did you know that? And beef is doing great, and we got to get the prices down a little bit, and they're starting to come down pretty much. China has agreed to purchase over $40 billion of U.S.-grown soybeans. You know that. You're selling them. They're selling them. And I went to President Xi, and he's upping it. I mean, it's $40 billion. The European Union will dramatically increase purchases of American pork, dairy, and soybean oil. They never did that before. They're all doing things that they never did before, because you have a certain president that's a little bit different from the presidents that you had before. And nations from Cambodia to Thailand to the Philippines and Indonesia are eliminating all trade barriers to agricultural products. Your agricultural products had trade barriers that didn't allow them to be sold in countries that are now saying, oh, please, we'd love to accept your product. So that's great. It's going to be, you're going to see it starting to kick in now for the farmers. And to further help our farmers recover from the, really a catastrophe of the Biden years, what a period of years that we had. We had a country that was just dead. We had a country that was just not respected by anybody. We had a guy who didn't know where the hell he was. Do you think he worried about his farmer at night? No. He just wanted to go to sleep. This is what we had. This is what we had in our fake election. We recently issued $12 billion in farm relief. We gave them because you were screwed by other countries. I said, how much is the number? To our great Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. She's doing a great job. I said, Brooke, what's the number? And she said $12 billion, and I wrote a check for $12 billion because we have so much money from the tariffs coming in. So you couldn't have done that before. We're a rich country now. I hope we win that Supreme Court case. You know, we have people that are China-oriented. They're people from literally that very China-oriented and foreign country-oriented trying to stop that, but we'll get it done one way or the other. We're going to do it. If we have to do it a different way, we'll do it. But we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We're doing amazing. Nobody can even believe it. Foreign countries cannot believe what's happened. They're studying us, but it won't work. But I'm also working hard to expand your markets domestically. And in the campaign, I promise to support E15 all year round. Yes, yes. Should I do it, Kaufman? Should I do it? I did. I promised E15 all year round if I get elected. And I want to let you know, and we'll start right now. I was going to put out a statement a week ago. I said, hold it. I'm coming to Iowa to make a speech. I'm not going to put out a truth. I'm not going to put, I want to be there in person to tell them, the people of Iowa, to know that I am trusting Speaker Mike Johnson, who's great, and Leader John Thune, who's great, that's House and Senate, to find a deal that works. We've got it. For farmers, consumers, and refiners, including small and mid-sized refiners. In other words, to get E15 approved, and they're working on it. They're very close to getting it done. So I just wanted to let you know that. Yeah? Okay? And China will be sending me a bill very shortly supporting year-round E-15 to my desk very quickly, and I will sign it without delay, okay? I hope you remember us for the midterms. You know, the worst thing about the midterms is the fact that no matter what happens, the people that win the presidency, you win even if you're a good president. I think we had the best first year of any president ever, maybe they say. But even if you're having a great, it's like in the last 50 years, they've won it twice. Can you believe it? If something happens, there's a screw turns with the voters. So even if it's a Democrat or Republican, whoever wins the presidency has a hard time with the midterm. If we lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things that we're talking about, so many of the assets that we're talking about, so many of the tax cuts that we're talking about. And it would lead to very bad things. We got to win the midterms. I mean, I'm here because I love Iowa, but I'm here because we're starting the campaign to win the midterms. We got to win the midterms. That means Senate, and it means House. Got to win them. It's crazy. You know, you'd think it would be like a 50-50 deal or something. It's like, for some reason, and this is Democrat too. Democrat wins the presidency. For some reason, they lose the midterms. Now, maybe they don't campaign as hard because they've campaigned. I don't know, but I campaign hard. We got to win the midterms. So remember that you got to get out and you got to vote. The midterms are very important. We're gonna really work hard on winning the midterms. We have great candidates. Again, Senate and House. We have great candidates. We got to win them. And we have candidates that rule with common sense, not this craziness. You know, we're not going to be supporting transgender for all, men and women's sports, open borders, open borders. The worst is open borders because, you know, I take care of things and, you know, inflation I had to beat very quickly and all, but this open border thing, you know, it's a lot of work. Taking criminals in that they allowed into our country where the jails are opened up. Remember the jails, the prisons all over, from all over the world, they're opened up. The Congo, all over South America, Venezuela, they opened up their jails. We got to get them out. I mean, it's really, really, we can never forget what that group of morons did to this country. We can never forget. And we've got to win the midterms. That's why we've got to win the midterms. As we bring trillions of dollars pouring into our country from overseas, we're also making America affordable again, a problem caused totally by the crooked Joe Biden administration. I mean, you know, I inherited this problem. They say, prices are too high. I just took over. They said, I'll never forget, I come here, I'm in 3 days, I have a news conference 3 days into my administration. What about the price of eggs? They've gone up like 5 times more. I said, I just got here. I didn't know about it. I'm sorry. And we got eggs down very quickly, remember? But I was standing there. I'm so happy. I just won. I thought the press was going to be so nice. And some lunatic right there, actually. What about the price of eggs? Eggs have gone up. I said, oh, tell me, give me a little, because I don't know. I just got here. I'm sorry. But I fixed it. Now I fixed it pretty much all, but it's going to go down even further. No, but they caused the problem. And then they came up, you know, it's a word that they came up with, affordability. Every time you hear the word, remember, they're the ones that caused the problem. And first time you heard about it was like a few months ago. This election's all about affordability. Well, they're the ones that caused the problem. But nobody knows that. You know, people forget. So they say, oh, affordability, let's vote for the Democrats. It's no, affordability. They caused a tremendous price increases. It was caused by the worst inflation we've ever had. And they come up with this word, affordability. And I saw it even, although you're not hearing it so much anymore. You know why? Because the prices are coming down so much. They don't want it to be an election based on lower prices. But we're bringing down the lower, I like that term better. It's the lower prices. We're bringing them down. But we inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, and we've rapidly brought them down. And that's what we want to do. Did you ever see them where they're being interviewed? This will be an election on affordability.
And I say that, but they never talk about after. That's all they say. They just say affordability, but they never do anything, Mr. Chairman, right? They never say, they don't talk about what do they mean. So everyone says, you know, look, you people are doing a lot of things. You're not into politics that much, although you like it, you like Trump, but you're not into politics. But you're not going to go back and examine. All you know is, oh, therefore, I guess that means they did a good job. They almost destroyed our country. They were pricing you out. When gasoline's at $4.50 and now it's at $1, I was told, you know, I was saying $1.99 today in Iowa. I was told that it was $1.85 it hit a gallon in Iowa. And you know, that's like a massive tax cut. That's actually like a massive tax cut. So the Biden nightmare cost a typical American family $34,000 in 4 years, but after 1 year of Trump, real wages are already up more than $2,000. Think of it, that's a $5,000 swing, much faster. Wages have gone up much faster. Think of this than inflation. With him, it was just the opposite. Wages in the United States in the last year have gone up. And remember, the first part of the year, actually you could say almost the first year, I was fixing the country from the horror show that we inherited. Grocery prices, airfares, hotels, car payments, and rent prices have all come down, and they've come down very fast. And thanks to our tax cuts, millions of Americans will soon receive record-setting tax refunds, an average of more than $1,000. Think of that, $1,000 compared to last year, $1,000 just in what you're going to save with some of the tax cuts. And that number goes up exponentially over the course of 4 years. So it's amazing. It's called the Great Big Beautiful Bill. You know, one other thing that you get that's I thought was so great, I came up with it. You know, very rich people get deductions. Middle income people don't get deductions. They never had to. I said, why is it that when a rich person buys something, they get a deduction on interest, but when somebody that's working like hell, they don't get it if they want to buy a car? And I said, why can't somebody buying a car in America, only if it's made in America, if it's made in some other country, we have no interest. So I got it approved in the Great Big Beautiful Bill. You get a full tax deduction against your income tax. You get a full tax deduction. Think of it, if you purchase a car in America, if you borrow money, the interest that you're paying on that borrowed money is a full deduction for your tax purposes. And that's a tremendous deal. And you know what? It's also great for the car companies, because the car companies are going to be making a lot more cars that they couldn't believe it. And I got it passed. So just remember me as you take those deductions, please. The king of deductions. No, but it was always unfair the way a lot of people got treated. You take that deduction. One of those who will be seeing a big benefit thanks to our tax cuts is Erica Perltel. Where's Erica? Is she here? Erica? Where is Erica? Right here. Where is she? Oh, she's so beautiful. I'm not allowed to say that anymore. If I say a woman is beautiful, that's the end of your political career, you know? But she is beautiful. How are you? Congratulations. What a good story. She's the general manager at Whiskey River Bar in Ankeny, Iowa, which, as you know, I visited strongly a couple of times in the campaign. And Erica's been able to hire many new employees, and they're each going to be taking home thousands and thousands of dollars extra because of the no tax on tips. And she's got a lot more people wanting to work for her, too, because of that no tax on tips. That's just one of many. How's that working out, Erica? Good? You want to come up and say a few words? Come on up, Erica. You want to come on up? And while she's coming up, also with us is Judy Waldron from Davenport. Judy works part-time as a bartender, and her husband, Chris, is an electrician who works hours on overtime each week. Their family is going to save thousands of dollars on no tax on overtime and no tax on tips, which they'll use to prepare for retirement. And I want to thank you, Judy. Where's Judy? Come here. Where's Judy? Come on up, Judy. Get up here. Come on up. They're totally unprepared for this, but what the hell, right? Say a few words. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. No tax on tips is huge for everyone in the service industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would just like to say the same thing. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Annie. Good luck. Thank you, guys. I refuse to say they're beautiful. I refuse. But they're beautiful. Do all people look like that in Iowa? I don't think so. Thank you both. Congratulations, too. Great. That's great. We're not supposed to come up, but I looked at both of them and I said, get up here. We're also pleased to be joined by Governor Kim Reynolds. Kim, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Great. A man who's become a real star, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Scott. He's become a star. He's done a real job. He knows his business. And he's a big cutter. He cuts a lot of things. Small Business Administrator, another real star, Kelly Loeffler. Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. Great person. Those are great people. Also with us are Representatives Ashley Hinson. These are people running for office. We have to vote them. Randy Feenstra, Marionette Miller-Meeks, and Zach Nunn. I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to tell you that they're all great and they're all running and they should be in good shape, but you got to get out and vote. Got to get out and vote. Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird. Where's Brenna? Hi, Brenna. Boy, she was early to endorse me. She was so early. We appreciate it. We'll never forget that. That was great. Thanks a lot, Brenna. And you're doing well. I hear you're doing great, right? Thank you. She's running again. You got to vote for her. State House Majority Leader Bobby Kaufman. Bobby. Guys, you gotta move her there. Thank you, Bobby. Great job. Great family. Former State Senate President Leader. Now, I have to tell you about this guy. He endorsed me, the first person in the entire United States of America. It was a year before I even knew I was running, he endorsed me. He endorsed me because he thought I would be good. I wasn't even thinking about running. He was so early. He was the first person in the United States, before my wife, before my kids. State Senate President. He's a Marlboro man. He looks like the Brad Zahn. Where's Brad? Where are you, Brad? Come on up here. Get up here, Brad. And state representatives Heather Hora, Derek Wolf, Brooke Bowden, and many other wonderful members of the Iowa State House. I want to thank you all for being here. Brad, you got to say, look at this guy. Can you talk, Brad?
Well, it's an honor to be here. And you know, my wife is a Fox News junkie, and she loves Laura Ingraham. And I tell her, I said, enjoy every second because you are the GOAT. Promises made, promises kept. Thank you.
Great job. He's the Marlboro man, right? He can do that, do whatever he wants. He was so early. I said, who the hell is that guy in Iowa that keeps endorsing me? Thank you, Brad. We won't forget. The Trump administration has done more in 12 months than most administrations achieve in 4 years or 8 years. We've done a lot. I've recently introduced my plan to repair the damage of the Unaffordable Care Act, the worst disaster, which now costs many families more than a mortgage. If you look, a number came out, it's a bigger cost than a mortgage, and it's bad health care. Obamacare was created to make insurance companies rich with government subsidies. I want all that money that gets paid to the insurance companies to get paid directly to the people That's all I want. So that you can buy better health care at a lower cost. The problem is the Democrats don't want to do that because they are owned by the insurance companies. So they say, oh, we don't want to do that. I want the money to be paid to the people to go out and buy their own health care. You'll buy much better health care. You have a lot of money left over. And I'm also making it a lot easier to buy a thing called the house, the American dream. Last week, I signed an executive order to ban Wall Street and large institutional investors from buying up all the single-family homes in America. Because we don't want America to become a nation of renters, and that's what they forced happen. I mean, you have these companies, they own 5,000 houses, 20,000. One has hundreds of thousands of houses. We don't want that. We want people to be able to buy houses. At the same time, I want to keep the value of the house very high of those people who already own a house. We're not forgetting about them because they don't necessarily match those two things. You know, we get the prices down. Well, what does that do? Very important to me, more important to me, is, you know, people have become rich by owning their home. We're going to keep them nice and rich. Is that okay? You know, nobody... I'll bet you've never heard that before, right? But people own a home, and for the first time, their home, it's a certain, we're not going to bring that price down. I want to say, let them be rich. But we're strengthening Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that you've heard about, and in the last 12 months, those institutions have supported over 22,000 Iowa families in purchasing or refinancing and saved over 3,000 Iowa families from losing their homes. We've come out and really helped a lot of people keep your home. And despite a bad Fed chairman, a guy that has no, we call him too late. He's too late. Jerome Too Late Powell, he's too late. He wasn't too late before the Democrats on the election, and he was too early. But he wants to keep rates as high as possible. Despite that, we've driven rates down. You know, when you're really good, you can get them down despite everything, because ultimately, it just sort of follows nature. Mortgage interest rates are now at the lowest level in 3 years, and new mortgage applications are up 30%. By the way, well, we have a great Fed chairman. I think we're going to have one. I'll announce it pretty soon. You'll see rates come down a lot. And refinancings are up 100% compared to the end of the Biden term. Up 100%. We're also working tirelessly to bring back a thing called law and order. You know, there was a time... So there was a time that you weren't allowed to use the words law and order. I like that guy. You weren't allowed to use the term law and order. You weren't allowed to use the term Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody, right? Remember that 2016? I ran on, we're going to bring back Christmas. We did. Now they're afraid to suggest it, but we brought that back. But law and order, we need law and order. And we have the lowest crime rate now in the history of our country. That's good, but we'll do even better. And as everyone is aware, we've totally and completely closed the southern border with little fanfare, but tremendous success. Where the southern border is closed, nobody's coming in. That's right, nobody is able to come into a country except for those that come in legally. We want to have people come in legally. We need people to come in legally, but they have to show that they can love our country, not hate our country. They have to show that they're not going to blow up our shopping centers, blow up our farms, kill people. They're coming in legally, but they cannot come in unless they come in legally into our country, and we're letting some great people come in. They have to show that they can love our country. They have to be proud. Not like Ilhan, Omar. Did you see that wise guy? You know, she's always talking about the Constitution provides me with the following. You know, the Constitution, she comes from a country that's a disaster. So probably it's considered, I think, the worst. It's not even a country, okay? It barely has a government. I don't think it does. They're good at one thing, pirates. But they don't do that anymore. You know why? Because they get the same treatment from us as the drug dealers get. Boom, boom, boom. I don't care what ship they're attacking. When they attack, when we say them going in, ping, that's the end of that. It's amazing. You know, I don't know if you know, drugs coming in by water is down 97%. And we're trying to find out who the other 3% is, because we consider them the bravest people in the world. Who the hell are the 3%? But it's down 97%. And now we're taking them down on the land. The land is much easier than the sea. You had to do the sea first, but the sea is done. We haven't exactly helped the luxury fishing business, I would say. Would you like to go fishing? No, thank you. I'd rather. Let's go deep sea fishing today. Let's go on a little boat, deep sea fishing. Sorry about that. But it's down 97%. We've done a job. I'll tell you, we've made our country respected again. The greatest military, we have the greatest military in the world. You know, I rebuilt our military in our first term, and we have the greatest military in the world. So you read much about Minnesota, where, unbeknownst to the public, we have brought down crime very substantially in Minnesota. We've taken out thousands of hard criminals, hardened, vicious, horrible criminals. You don't read about things like Washington, D.C., where there is virtually no crime, and it was horrible a year and a half ago. Memphis, Tennessee, which was a real disaster, and now it's down. Crime has dropped by 78% in the last 2 months. New Orleans, Louisiana, I was asked by the governor of Louisiana to help them with New Orleans. It was a disaster, and crime is down 54% in about 3 weeks. You don't read about that. And we've done all of this by taking thousands of criminals out of these states. We took over 2,000 people out of Washington, D.C. These were criminals. You know, if you remember, about 2% of the population, it's a very simple business. 2% of the population causes 90% of the crime. So when you start decimating that 2%, boom, that's why we have the, it's an amazing number when you think. It's just crime over and over and over. 2% creates 90% of the crime. Isn't that amazing? It's not that complicated, is it? In 1 year, we've achieved the largest drop in the murder rate in the history of our country. Drug overdose deaths are down by 21%. The largest drop ever recorded. We got to do better than that. And I've designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Big deal. And despite the strong efforts of the fake news media, we are starting to see the historic success reflected in tremendous polls. We have great polls. In last week's Rasmussen poll, we're leading among Hispanic voters. We're leading by a lot. Nobody's ever seen a Republican lead among Hispanic voters. You know, Hispanic voters don't want crime. People don't realize that. Hispanic voters want strong borders because they know what's coming in and they don't want them. They're great. They've been great. We did so great in the election with Hispanic voters. We did so great with black men. We did so great with white everything. In yesterday's